Hey guys, Mike here. So today's cult classic review is 2003's The Room, starring Tommy Wiseau as Johnny. In The Room, Johnny is a bank supervisor who lives in San Francisco with his future wife Lisa. However, one day he finds out that his future wife Lisa may not be as faithful as he once thought, and so we have The Room. So guys, this is a movie in the series before watching and reviewing it today. I had actually seen it before, and the main reason I watched The Room was so I could watch The Disaster Artist. So to watch The Disaster Artist, I kind of had to know what The Room was all about. And going into this one, I knew what this film was going to be. The best way to describe The Room is that it's the best, worst movie ever made. But when you go to watch the film, you're just not ready for what you're about to watch. So, what do I think of The Room? Well, the first time I watched this film, it was impossible to watch this film, ironically. Because when I first watched this film, I watched it by myself, and apart from the really standout scenes, I didn't really know what was going to happen. And watching this for the first time, it's just absolute torture. You're just sitting there thinking, how can a person make such an ill-conceived movie? And really, I just didn't enjoy this film the first time I watched it, and I can see why it got such a bad rap. However, watching it now, knowing what's coming, my god, this film is amazing. Ultimately, I'd say the best way to describe The Room, it's just bizarre. Somehow, writer, director, producer, and star Tommy Wiseau managed to do everything he could to make everything seem so unusual. Whether it's the way that people walk into a room, the way they speak, the way they go to buy flowers, or play football in tuxedos, everything everyone does in this movie is just weird and so unhuman. This film honestly seems like something that aliens would make to pretend to be humans. And even if everything in this film was intentional like Tommy Wiseau said it was, even still, it's just absolutely crazy. In this film, there's like 4 sex scenes. There's like 4 scenes where they're playing football. One, like I said, when they're in tuxedos. And there's just so many loose plot lines which don't go anywhere. There's one where Denny's borrowing money from drug dealers. There's one where Lisa's mom has breast cancer. These scenes happen, and they're never explored again. And it begs the question, why even have them in here? To kind of like, stretch out the world, do a bit of world building, I guess? Or really just to stretch out the runtime? In any case, they add to the absolute hilarity of this film. But really, we all know why The Room is as standout as it is, and it's all because of Tommy Wiseau. Now, obviously, no one in this film gives a good performance, but his performance in this film is just otherworldly. He somehow goes from complete monotone and just not really expressive at all to just absolutely erratic in a matter of seconds. And again, it's just something else that's incredible about this one. But I'd say the biggest thing about The Room is that Tommy Wiseau clearly thinks very highly of himself. Because even though the character is named Johnny, it's clearly a stand-in for himself. And it's also interesting to see what he thinks of other people as well, especially women. Because at the end of the day, I think Lisa is pretty much how Tommy Wiseau sees women. He sees women as completely irrational, emotional, and always changing their mind every second. Not that he gives any of his male characters any reason to say why they're any better than women. It's just he has a very obvious opinion of women. And another interesting thing about The Room as well, how did this movie cost $6 million to make? Because most of the movie is in Tommy's house, which is clearly on a set. There's not very many location shots, and if there aren't exactly that many characters, props, or scenery, or extras that are brought to the location. Most of them are just Tommy and one of his other friends there. So, how did this movie cost $6 million, and where did Tommy Wiseau get this money from? But really, I guess we'll never know. But again, I'd say the weirdest thing about the whole film is how it's achieved this best worst movie ever made status. Because obviously, The Room is not a good film. Nothing about this movie works. Not the script, not the writing, not the acting, not the editing, not the direction. Nothing about this film stands out in any significant way. Because honestly, if you were to watch this film not knowing anything about The Room, not knowing the attention it's got or the cult that supports this film, you would honestly just be like, this movie is awful, why the hell am I watching this? You'd probably turn this off in the first 10 minutes. But because of everything around this film, the way that people put The Room on this pedestal, you're just kind of drawn into it as well. You don't say, that was terrible, you say, that was hilarious. You don't say, that was awful, you say, that was bizarre. Instead of immediately blocking this movie out your mind, you constantly just sit there quoting it. And ultimately, I just don't know why people did this for this film. It's just amazing to see what The Room's become in the last 17 years. And I'm pretty sure its popularity will only grow in the years to come. And if I had to make one overall comment about The Room, it would just simply be, well, that was a movie, I guess. So So guys, would I consider The Room a personal cult classic, and would I recommend that you guys should see it? I would say that The Room is a perfect example of a cult classic film. Sure, when it first came out, it may not have been a success with critics or audiences, but in the years since, it's managed to attract such a very interesting viewer base. And obviously, I'd say the best way to watch this film is with someone else or in a group of people, because you can just sit there and just admire what an absolutely bizarre movie this is. You can hang out and just have a good laugh at watching a weird flick, but when you're by yourself, it's kind of hard to do that. Sure, you can do what I did, watch the movie by yourself, and then when they start making chicken noise, just going cheep, 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 cheep. But when you're by yourself, it's not as much fun. And honestly, I would consider this movie a personal cult classic. Not because I think this movie's amazing or is of high quality. It's pretty much because of the exact opposite reason. Because this film's so awful and just bizarre, that's why I'd consider this movie a personal cult classic. And honestly, I would really love to watch this movie with a group of people, thus further cementing why I consider this one a personal cult classic. But as it stands right now, it really is just the best worst movie. And as for whether or not you guys should see it, honestly, if you're going to watch this film, don't do what I did. Don't watch it by yourself for the first time. Just get a group of people together, preferably ones who haven't seen it before, and just experience The Room. That's all you can really do with this one. Just sit back and just let it do its thing. Okay guys, that's my cult classic review of The Room. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Whatever you think, drop it in the comments below. Until next time, I've been Michael. See ya!